Welcome to Smart English Stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English stories. My name is David. I want to share with you a story about a man named John. John lived in a small town in the USA. He was a poor man, and life was not easy for him. Every day, John woke up early and worked very hard, but it seemed like nothing changed. He had a small house with old furniture. He didn't have much money, and sometimes he didn't even have enough food. John would often sit by his window, look out at the stars, and dream of a better life. One day, John met a young girl named Emily. Emily was very smart, but she didn't have many friends. She liked to read books, and she always had a smile on her face. John would watch her pass by his house every day on her way to school. One afternoon, Emily stopped by John's house. She had seen John working hard in his garden. She asked him, "Why do you always look so sad?" John didn't know what to say. He felt a lump in his throat. "Life is hard, Emily," he said softly, trying not to cry. "I work so hard, but I never have enough." Emily looked at him with her big eyes. "But have you ever tried learning new things? Maybe that can help you," she said. John thought about it. He had never learned much because he didn't go to school when he was younger. He didn't know how to read or write very well, and he felt embarrassed. "I don't know how to learn new things," he whispered. Emily smiled and said, "It's never too late to start. You can learn English. English can help you in many ways. It will open doors for you." John felt scared. How could he learn English at his age? But he could see how much Emily believed in him. "Where do I start?" he asked. Emily handed him a small book. It was an easy English book with pictures. "Start with this. Learn a little every day," she said with a wink. John took the book, feeling nervous but excited. Every night after work, John would sit by the window with his little lamp and the book Emily gave him. At first, it was hard. He didn't understand many words, and he felt like giving up. But then he remembered what Emily said, "It's never too late," so he kept going. Some nights John would cry. He felt so frustrated. The words on the page seemed like a puzzle he couldn't solve. But then he would close his eyes and remember his dreams. He wanted a better life. He wanted to make friends and be able to speak English to people in town. So he wiped his tears and kept studying. One day, John went to the market. He saw an old man selling apples. The old man was talking to a tourist in English. John stood there, listening. He could understand a few words now. It made him feel so proud. He bought an apple and decided to try something. He said to the old man, Thank you. The old man smiled and replied, You're welcome. It was a small moment, but it felt like a big victory to John. As days passed, John became more confident. He started practicing English with Emily every time she passed by his house. They would talk about simple things like the weather or what they had for lunch. John felt happy. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't just dreaming of a better life, he was working towards it. One evening, Emily asked John, Do you still feel sad? John looked at her and smiled. Sometimes, life is still hard, but I don't feel as lost as before. Learning English is helping me. I feel like I can do more now, he said. Emily nodded. You see, English is a key. It opens doors. The more you learn, the more you can do. Keep going, John. John promised her he would. He wasn't just learning English for himself anymore. He wanted to help others, just like Emily had helped him. He wanted to share his story with people who felt stuck, like he once did. Weeks turned into months, and John's life began to change. He started getting small jobs in the town, helping tourists who didn't speak the local language. He used the little English he had learned, and it made a big difference. People were kind to him, and he made new friends. He didn't feel so alone anymore. One night, as John was studying his English book, he heard a knock at the door. It was Emily. She was holding a small piece of paper. John, I want you to come with me tomorrow. There's a job opening at the local hotel. They need someone who can speak some English to help with the guests. I think you should try, she said excitedly. John felt his heart race. A job? At a hotel? He had never dreamed he could work in a place like that. But what if I'm not good enough, he asked, fear creeping into his voice. Emily shook her head. You've come so far, John. You're ready. You just have to believe in yourself, she said. That night, John didn't sleep much. He was too nervous. He kept practicing the few English phrases he knew, repeating them over and over in his head. Good morning. How can I help you? Would you like a room? He wasn't sure if he could do it, but he knew he had to try. The next day, John went to the hotel with Emily by his side. The manager asked him a few questions, and John answered them in his best English. He stumbled over a few words, but the manager smiled. You're doing great, he said. We'll give you a chance. John couldn't believe it. He had a job. He wanted to cry, but this time they were happy tears. He hugged Emily and thanked her over and over again. I couldn't have done this without you, he said. Emily smiled. You did it, John. You never gave up. That's the most important thing. John's life was not perfect, but it was better. He worked hard at the hotel, and every day he practiced his English. He met people from all over the world, and each time he spoke with them, he felt a little more confident. He was no longer the poor man who sat by the window, dreaming of a better life. He was living that life now. John learned that life will always have challenges, but with determination, you can overcome them. English had opened doors for him, and it could do the same for anyone. He often told people, "If I can learn, so can you." So, if you're reading this story, remember that it's never too late. Keep learning, keep dreaming, and never give up.